Good morning. Welcome to Grab the Horns. This morning what we're going to talk about is an interesting company by the name of LPS, or Lender Processing Services. Now, LPS is a ticker symbol for this company. Basically, Lender Processing Services is kind of what it sounds like. It's basically a mortgage processing company. Now, 50% of all mortgages that are serviced are outsourced, and a majority of the 50 largest banks here in the United States use the services of LPS. LPS, basically, they provide solutions to help the mortgage loss mitigation and the settlement services. In a nutshell, LPS profits from home loans gone bad. So with that said, you would think that the type of mortgage crisis that we're in right now, LPS would be doing very well. And you would think that you would see some record highs out of it. So the question is, why is LPS on our quote-unquote short list today? Well, let's take a look and let's dive a little bit deeper and see if we can't find out. So, as a part of LPS's efforts to help its clients, the big banks, reduce their costs and expedite the foreclosure process, LPS has come under scrutiny by Congress and the Attorney Generals of a few states. Alan Grayson, former U.S. Representative for Florida, he has actually gone on YouTube explaining the problems. In fact, most of the YouTube videos related to LPS, or Lender Processing Services, as well as new headlines for LPS, are negative articles related to its business practices. The reason for that is LPS has basically come up with some fraudulent foreclosure documents, and this is really starting to cause a stink in looking at LPS as the company as a whole, and also looking at it as an investment. What we're going to do now is just pull up a quick chart on LPS, take a few seconds to look at it here, and then go from there. So here we're seeing a chart of LPS, and let's take a look at this a little bit further. It's got a forward PE ratio of 6.33. It may look like an attractive buy here because it's relatively cheap. As we can see down here, it's around $25 a share right now, off of its high in March of around $35 almost. What you want to keep in mind, though, is this business model is under increasing pressure, not only from what we've been seeing with the fraudulent foreclosure documents, but also what we're looking at here is it's got a very high debt on its balance sheets of $1.21 billion, and it has very little cash on its balance sheet as well. So this stock has a lot of downside risk, and it's probably got more downside risk than profit potential. As we see here, it's taken quite a slide in the last 3 months or so. We still believe that the stock has a lot more downside potential on it, and if that pressure continues on its business practices, the stock has a lot more room to drop. So what we're looking at here is basically take a look from about February of this year, and as we can see, you'll see here, this is a simple moving average, this blue line. These are Bollinger Bands around it, 2 standard deviations above, 2 standard deviations below, red is above, purple is below, obviously. As we see, this stock here, for the last couple of months, has really been hugging around this bottom Bollinger Band. It tries to make a rebound and comes back down to this bottom Bollinger Band. And as we can see, as we look at the actual volume, there's a lot more high red volume, which is down volume, than there is high green volume. So we can see that a lot of the volume is playing into the downside of this stock, which is very concerning whenever you're looking at a stock. You never want to see high volume with a down day in the market, especially when you look at days like this where it dropped from 28 down to 26 and change there. So that's a little bit concerning. Also, looking at the momentum play on this, you can see that since March, the momentum has really hovered on this bottom line and really stayed below. Now, a lot of times that can be a buy signal because maybe it's under or oversold, excuse me. But with this, in combination with its business practices, as well as its stock price has been dropping and high volume on lower days, this indication would tell me that we're actually looking at low momentum for the reason that LPS is a bad buy at this point. So really what we're looking at is we are looking at this as a shorting option. for the simple fact that it has come down off of its March highs. It's down about $10 a share from where it was in March. That's a pretty big drop, almost 30%, as well as its business practices and what we discussed earlier today with looking at its investigations by attorney general's offices and former U.S. representatives. That can lead to a lot of downside pressure on this position, and that's why we believe that LPS is going to be in a prime position to short. So basically there's a lot of volatility on this one, and you really want to keep that in mind as you're looking at your short opportunities. This may be a stock, as we can see, that may have a lot more downside potential. So that gives you a good look at the technical side of LPS. We had a chance to look at the chart here and kind of see the downward pressure that's been playing into it. Now, a lot of times you may say to yourself, okay, this may be presenting a good buying opportunity because it has taken such a drop. It was high 3 months ago. Our interpretation of the data that we've been looking at here is the opposite. You should not be looking at buying the stock right now. In fact, like we discussed, this may be a very good potential short opportunity. We see since March, 3 months ago, this stock has dropped almost 30%, and it's got a lot of high volatility right now. The high volume days are on days when the stock is actually losing. That's always a bad sign. And also the momentum play on this has been very low for the last 3 months and longer than that. So all those indicators, when you put them together, we feel like this still has a lot of downward pressure that can be played into it. So looking at this as possible short opportunity. Hope this helps. Hope this was a good stock to analyze this morning, and I hope this helps you throughout the trading day. As always, get out there, grab the horns.